Good evening. Yes, it's me again. Third, if you don't smile. Um, Video. It's Friday, the 26th of August, and it's 5:30 in the evening. Um, it's been a fairly sedate day today. The weather's been absolutely fabulous. Haven't moved much outside the house. Sort of digesting a lot of YouTube videos from crypto to retirement. What financial advice seems to be out there? Which leaving it T63 before you get any of that shit, I've got to tell you, is I wouldn't recommend it. It's I've got 2 years to cram an awful lot in, and even then it'll only be what have you got in order to do with what you do with it, rather than I think I can do something between now and 66 before to earn wise. My earning days are well past. Um, but I do quite like the idea of this video diary. It's a day-to-day thing that some days I'm going to miss for sure. Maybe the weekend I might not. I might just accumulate a few things to rabbit on about next week. Um, but I was looking at uh, today, really, or this evening, um, some Bitcoin gurus, some guys who's discovered Bitcoin very early, and of course, anybody who's done well out of crypto has done it well before last year. Put it that way. When Bitcoin was in its infancy. I think it only happened in 2011, something like that. Anyway, I remember at the time I got a wallet. Maybe not as early as that, but it could well have been, and never bothered getting any. Which was absolutely stupid because it was just a few quid then, and now it's like 18,000 pound a coin. You know, so we live and learn, don't we? But there's lots of other assets, they call them, because there's a big debate going off at the minute whether they're assets or securities. Not assets, currency or securities. They're not trying to go down the line of the government's, or the American government in particular, is trying to push them down the line of outside of Bitcoin, or these other coins that are out there as being securities. They're not so stringently policed. Then I believe you can sort of get in on the game a lot easier. I've got to say, I have, even though I've chased this down fairly hard in the last year, um, um, this is not an easy thing to do. I mean, like I say, I'm 63. Maybe it's that's making or causing the problem. But in all honesty, it is not easy to get your hands on this Bitcoin. It's not. I thought I could go out. I mean, at that time, I think it was. Oh, I'm going to say something now, which is really. I mean, I ended up paying something like, when Bitcoin was 40,000, for instance, for a coin. I mean, it went up to. I think it went up to $55,000, whatever that may be in the UK sterling price. I'm not really sure, but buying pieces of it is all you could do. I mean, it's not like, let's say, for instance, I wanted to go out. I remember at the time wanting to get, because KYC, heard of that one? Know your customer. Well, I had never heard of that. KFC, perhaps, but not KYC. And what's that's to do is the banks knowing who, trying to cut down on money laundering. So let's say I could buy a Bitcoin for, or let's say it was, I don't know, 20,000. Let's make the figures easy. It's £20,000 for a Bitcoin. So yeah, I haven't got £20,000, but I've got five. So I want to buy a quarter of a Bitcoin. So you think it'd be easy, wouldn't you? You know, there's loads of people out there selling Bitcoin. There's loads of people buying Bitcoin. Now you put in that you've got the money in the bank on deposit, yeah, and you try and buy this quarter of a Bitcoin. I had a holy bloody show trying to find somebody to sell me, or in actual fact, to sell me any Bitcoin. You had to buy it in little tiny pieces, which of course attracted a fee every time. So by the time you'd bought one Bitcoin, you'd pay, stupid amounts of money for it. But not, it wasn't just that. That was the annoying part. It was you know, the time spent doing it, and being again 63, and 62 at the time I was buying this shit, and the time it takes to buy it, because what they say is put it on a hard wallet if you've got assets over a certain amount of thousands. That's a video for another bleeding day, I think. Um, but you can hold these assets on the exchange itself, and then you can have a hot, what they call a hot wallet, which you retain the passwords for yourself, but it's online just the same. So you can be asked for, I don't know, like you would with a bank account. What's your sixth, seventh, and eighth, letter from your number, security number. And once you put that in, it lets you in. Well, they do the same sort of similar sort of process with a crypto hot wallet. Hot wallet being wallets that's online, it's still retained by them, but nobody can access it. They can see it, but they can't get anything out without putting these unknown numbers which are associated with words. So you'll get upon initiating the wallet, you'll get given 12 words, which seem fairly random, but them words associate to numbers. So you're remembering 12 words in order, I presume. That's how I've looked at it, as always being in order. Otherwise, you'd never get word number 12, would you? Or word number 30. Yeah, I suppose that would be right. So you then so no matter what people can see, unless they know these 12 words, they can't get to the wallet, and that's the same for anything to do with these digital assets. You don't actually physically have a Bitcoin in your hand. What you have is access to what they call the blockchain, and the blockchain is it's the physical digital. I say physical. It's the digital thing that Bitcoin is held on, and you can see how many addresses are there. You can see how much Bitcoin's there, how it's moving about, but you can't tell who owns what, which gives you your privacy, I suppose. Bitcoin gets its value from the fact that there's only ever going to be 21 million of them issued. They can break down each Bitcoin into maybe, is it 1,000? I don't know, it's a lot anyway. Maybe it's 100. Well, it's going to have to be more, because there's countries adopting this as their reserve currency, so El Salvador being one of them, and they're doing, or they appear to be doing, rather well. In so much as that nobody can mess with the currency, them or anybody. It's nobody can add to it, nobody can take it away. It's all been released on a yearly basis, drip fed into the world, if you like. And once it hits 21 million, boom, it shuts down no more. But the currency obviously interacts. It's more like a digital store for gold. Like gold would be, we use it for the same reason. It's got no value outside of being the fact that it's gold. I mean, it's got industrial uses and things, but that's not that's not what we're talking about here. Whereas I suppose Bitcoin doesn't have an industrial use outside of the fact that people want to use it as a currency. Um, Anybody who's got any would be really crazy to sell any of it, because if you're gonna have an asset like that, and once it's all issued, and they're not issuing anymore, and there's a lot more millionaires in the world than there is, people like me. I know, wrong. Fucking hell, did I get that? Sorry, did I get that wrong? There are a lot more people like me in the world than there are the millionaires, and the millionaires are going to be the ones that's most likely going to be wanting these Bitcoin. So if you do get your hands on any of it, and you do need money at any time, fiat money, which is money that's backed by the government, it's the government's promise to pay note, that is, then you could borrow against the asset of the Bitcoin like you would a bar of gold if you got that, for instance. So the idea behind it is brilliant. Like, nobody can mess with it. Satoshi Nakamura, he invented it and gave it to the world in 2011, and it's done nothing but gone from strength to strength. I thought it would have been kicked out long ago by the American government, who don't like anybody having a currency outside of a national country. And there was a manhunt for this guy for years, as I remember, but nobody's ever found him. Nobody knows who he is. He's obviously in the world, and he's obviously kept a load back of these Bitcoin for himself. But you don't need many Bitcoin, and there were people who picked up on this in the early days, cleverer than me, that picked up on this in the early days, and what they call mined. And I remember looking at that at the time, but not having I couldn't be asked to go and find the equipment to do it and all the rest of it, because I was too busy doing the work that I was currently doing. But had I have done that, even a little bit, at what is it today, 70,000, 80,000 pound a coin, you wouldn't have to have many, would you? You know, I mean, there's a famous one where a guy who got oodles of these Bitcoins said, anybody who can send a pizza to my flat in Manhattan this evening, and I'll give him 200 Bitcoin. And some guy in England did it. He did all the arrangements, rang them up, paid by card, all the rest of it, gave him his address, and the guy gave him the 200 Bitcoin, or whatever. It was a big amount of Bitcoin anyway. It was valueless at the time, but Christ, if he hung on to that, there was another guy who got, hundreds of Bitcoins on his laptop, and because I'm assuming it wasn't just the wallet that was held on his laptop. I'm assuming the information for his coins, like his what do they call it? Your key phrases were on his laptop. That could be the only reason that he couldn't retrieve it, because otherwise he could get access to the blockchain, put his 12 letters in or 12 words in, and he should be able to access his account. But no, accordingly, there's all this Bitcoin on his laptop, and it was taken to a local landfill site in the UK somewhere and probably buried. And the council, whoever they might be, won't let him dig it up, even though he's offered to pay for all the disruption it causes and put it back as it were. That shows you how much money he got tied up in it. If you can believe these things. I mean, there's a lot of it comes out when you're hearing stories about stuff like this, and they are rubbish. I'd like to hear anybody's, sort of, was it as hard for anybody out there as it was for me to buy this Bitcoin? And I've done nothing really. I've not sold much. I've got lots of assets, like I said to you before with the in the previous video. I read them out, and I've got several exchanges I keep them on, from Uphold to Uphold being an exchange, I believe. Coinbase, Kraken, there's another two more. Gemini is another one. And I'm on all these sites, of course, and I've been buying bits and pieces off all of them. on the basis that, like I said to you in the previous video, they've all lost serious money. So, you know, it's a little bit like how to make money in Thailand or the Philippines. How to make a small fortune, is that what they say? Yeah, that's right. How to make a small fortune in the Philippines is start with a large one. Well, that's the same as this has been with me in this last 12 months, but it is a long game, which is why I'm not at all bothered about it. I didn't put any more in than I could afford to live without for now. I wouldn't hate to think that I've lost it altogether. Um, and I'm quite prepared to sit on whatever's there until it comes good. If it does in my lifetime, and if it doesn't, it's something that the kids will inherit, and it could come good in their lifetime. I'm rather hoping it doesn't take as long as that. I mean, my ultimate thought was 2030 if I live that long. Um, Hopefully, it will have done a lot by then. But 2025 in the near future, um, and that's when I retire. 2025, I'll be 66 then. So that would be nice. I mean, that was the reasoning behind generating any income. And like I say, all I've done is lost. But that might change by the time 2025 comes around. So when the bell rings on the 27th of March 2025 and I'm 66, let's see what these crypto assets are worth then. And if it's more than what I've put into it, which I will reveal on another video, because I've yet to do the sit down and add up. So I know what it's worth at the minute, which is peanuts. When I say peanuts, it's peanuts by comparison to what's been put into it. Christ almighty, I mean, I was buying with the FOMO attitude, fear of missing out. That's what that means, apparently. And it's a disease, I tell you. You can really get a grip of you. You think, no, I just want to, because you're not buying enough of any of them. You know, each asset would have to turn into a Bitcoin for you to have any kind of, life-changing wealth increase. So it forces you down the line of going for what you think. And because what do we know? The whole industry is new. So it's very much a crap game, as they call it. But I think in the early days, it's going to be like the dot-com bubble, from what I can relate. That was like when the dot-com business, if you had got a dot-com in your name of your business, you could get endless amounts of backing from venture capitalists, etc. Well, the same thing has happened with crypto. It's calmed down an awful lot now, and it's increasing rapidly, but in a more sensible way. I mean, I was around for the mobile phone. I was around for the internet. I was around for Tesla, Amazon, all these things. Massive improvements to society and to the quality of life. I mean, like today, I don't watch television much, but I'm glued to the bloody internet. So it's like, who'd have thought? It's not that I can do much with that outside of YouTube and entertainment things that are on there, but still, it's still internet based, not terrestrial TV based, it feels like a way. If you want to watch something, you can download it or subscribe to a site and get to watch it, or buy that particular program if you're so inclined. I've been rabbiting on for quite a bit now, haven't I? And I think this video is 19 minutes long. Wow. Well, I'm going to, I don't know what to name this video. I'm going to call it a crypto recap video 3. Maybe that'll do. I'm going to definitely do a series of these, my crypto journey. I should technically script the thing, and then I'm not going over old ground, making it boring for people who aren't just for people. This is really for me. So yeah, sorry people, but you know, this is my record of what I want to talk about. Unless you want to get involved, and if that is the case, yeah, get hold of me or bell me or email me or leave a comment down there and we'll have the crack. That's all I can say. Uh, I see these boys in foreign countries, expats they call them, all getting together every day, sort of having the crack and saying how wonderful their life is, and it all boils down to the same thing from what I can see, and that is A, they've got themselves a bit of pash out there, so that's the that seems to me to be the biggest reason that they go there, but not always. And B seems to be that they get to meet new people that are obviously like them because they've made the move out there. So they're not obviously like them. There's lots of different characters involved in that sphere, but you know, to pull your life up by the roots and jump on an aeroplane and go and live in another country and say it's going to be permanent takes a certain kind of character, and I think it's in all of us, depending on how far down the line of being unhappy you are, and that all comes from how you propose to live your life. Um, the only regret I've got is not taking care of myself better, and that's resulted in physical incapacity, and I'm really gutted about that. I wish it wasn't like that, but it is how it is, and that sort of restricts you from all sorts of shit, like going on holiday and stuff. I bought one of these electric scooters, which has improved it, but you can only sit down a certain length of time before you start losing the feeling in your tops of your legs. And I mean, lots of people out there understand they've got the same shit themselves in their lives. Never thought it would happen to me though, you know. And of course we don't do it. We always think that we're Superman or whatever it is that we think we are. But I've thoroughly enjoyed making this video because I wasn't going to do one today, and I'm so glad I have. And as you can tell, I like white t-shirts because I seem to have one on every day looking at this, but I'll swap and change that around. And thank you. If anybody's looking at this, I'll be absolutely gobsmacked because you know I really want to get into the what it's like to live in 2022 or the 21st century, basically, as a older person. You know, because I knew what it was like. I wouldn't be asked to do anything like this as a younger bloke. I'd be down the pub with me mates, or I'd be doing something work related. Yeah, I say mates. I had a lot of friends, I had a lot of acquaintances, but not many real mates that you go and spend time with. You'd meet up with, but they weren't specific. It wouldn't matter if they were there, or whether they weren't there. You'd still go, that kind of thing. I think they're called acquaintances, aren't they? But they were a little bit more than that because you did know more about them and them you. But all that's gone by the wayside, and much of it self-imposed, really, because I will go into. I'm going to start right at the beginning, and leaving school, and we'll see where that takes us. You know, it'll be a life story on my life story for me, about me, and the friends that I met along the way. Some real characters. But that's for future. Because I'm David Doherty, and my background is first generation English. Family both sides. My mother's an O'Malley and my dad's obviously Jimmy Doherty, not obviously, but he's Jimmy Doherty of the Doherty family in Nottingham. And I'll take it from there in the future. So thank you very much for watching. Here's video 3, David, and it's about to be shut down. TTFN.